Yo.
Hey there.
Yo.
Welcome to the Wednesday live stream.
We're live.
We are live.
Live and alive.
It's good to see that snowy snowman is with us today.
Snowy snowman. Yeah. Ahoy, ahoy.
Ahoy and away. So today is March 19th.
Wednesday.
Yay, Wednesday. We got a little music going. Today we're going to talk about the astronauts are back.
Yeah, they're back.
They're back. The JFK files fully released? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark?
Oh,
Cooking with hot water. We didn't do this one last week, but we saved it. Will it bread? Do we have that this week?
My favorite segment.
Maybe. And some TikToks. All right. That's what we'll do. Anything else going on in the world of skepticism?
I mean,
y'all?
you know, where do you want to begin?
Okay.
Ian?
Well, one
at
of
the
our
top.
listeners, Maria, just emailed us with a link to an article. The Minnesota Republicans have just introduced a bill
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
trying to define Trump derangement syndrome as a mental illness. But I think they got it backwards in terms of like who is suffering from the mental illness.
Yeah, but that has implications. Like,
I know.
If they did that, if you disagreed with Trump, they could say you're mentally ill.
Right.
Yeah, that's when we start killing people.
No, well, first of all, state legislators have absolutely no business defining medical diagnoses. Just get out of here. It's completely inappropriate. It's obviously blatantly for political purposes. But the only thing I like about it, I wrote an article about this like 6 months ago about the whole Trump derangement syndrome thing. So they just perfectly proved the point that I was making when I wrote about it, which is that this is being used as a political rhetorical strategy to dismiss legitimate criticism. It's completely dismissive. It's like as if there are no legitimate criticisms or concerns about it. Is gaslighting. It is literally gaslighting. You're mentally ill.
Yeah.
If you have anything like legitimate to criticize Trump about, nope, you're just mentally ill. That's actually the definition of gaslighting.
Yeah, we are.
Well, we know it's a crock of shit, but
Right.
can they do it?
Well, they don't have the votes, so I think the Democrats are in the majority there.
But yeah,
All
of
right.
course,
Which is probably why they're submitting it, because they know it's not going to happen.
Well, it may be overturned. You might have seen this news story. The guy who introduced the bill was arrested the same day he introduced the bill for soliciting sex from a teenage girl.
There
so
you
I was
go.
like, who's got
What
the
more proof do you
derangement
need?
system? Yeah, it's like, okay.
Jeez. Well, what if there were enough votes? Then what would happen?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
We're only in the third month here, guys. You know what? I'm going to
Not even.
I'm going to request that we
Not
don't
even.
talk about politics today, because it's
We're
actually
not. It's not politics.
It's nonpartisan, but not apolitical.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying. It's like I don't want to be angry all day.
Okay,
All right.
fine. All right, we won't be angry. Well, the astronauts are back.
Yay!
Should we get to that?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, did you hear what happened to them?
no, what
They
happened?
splashed
Oh
down.
man! So
Hey,
the
what
ship goes up
happened?
there. They send the ship up there.
Sure.
These guys, they had to like basically leave all their stuff behind. They get in,
Uh-huh.
they fly down, they land, and they're okay.
Look at that.
They forgot something.
Nobody died.
Somebody left their phone?
They weren't abandoned.
And
Oh.
apparently dolphins were there to greet them.
Yes, there was dolphins.
That's
greeting.
pretty
They were
epic.
dolphins.
That's epic.
So bottom line is, it was uneventful. Like nothing happened. That
Which
was
is good.
That's
of
a good
note.
thing.
Uneventful is good.
Why are we talking about it?
Well, because it's
It's a follow-up to our earlier discussion
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
them
we've
being
talked
trapped
about it
on
a
the
bunch.
ISS.
we just want to close the circle. I mean, they definitely.
Yeah, we'll mention it on the show tonight. That'll be good opening banter.
And even though that they were up there for
9 months? Oh, 9 months
9
past they were supposed to come
Yeah.
back? Was that
Well,
what
they're
it
supposed to be there for a week or 2 weeks or something.
was?
yeah, I mean, it's a long time. But I got to tell you, for the people that do this type of thing, like the astronauts, they want to astronaut. You know what I mean? They want to do this. That I bet you that the two of them were really happy that they got to be on. Let's face it. The ISS is not going to be around here in 5 years. Like that thing is on its way out for real. Like it's becoming a danger. The Russian module, has had several issues. There's only so much time that
Russia's not supporting it anymore, right?
yeah, I think they aren't. But the bottom line is, the materials that we use to build these components, going back how many years now, they can only last a certain amount of time before they start to fail.
Yeah.
It's not easy to repair stuff in outer space as well. Like we're not doing like any high end repairs on stuff up there. So bottom line is, we need the second generation to make it happen.
There are plenty of projects in the works for the replacement station.
Really?
Yeah. They're, again, private companies mainly.
Yeah, we talked about this
Yeah.
on the show. Like there's several private companies that are, like there's things like this going on. Hey, government, we need more money to do the thing that you already gave us money to do. Right? There's that happening, which is very typical. And then you have companies that are planning big stuff that haven't really started to build anything, and then there's companies that are actually building stuff. Axios, I think, is one of those companies that actually has stuff, and they seem to be one of the most promising
Axiom,
ones.
right?
Axiom.
Yeah.
Axios is from a video game, sorry.
Yeah.
It's also a news organization.
News
Yeah.
organization.
I've been playing Subnautica again.
Oh, yeah.
The original
first
one?
The original. I never finished
okay.
the original one.
So you haven't done the Sub-Zero one yet?
I haven't played Sub-Zero, and apparently they're coming out with Subnautica 2.
Yes. This year.
Yeah.
And you know about what the key upgrade's going to be?
No.
Multiplayer.
Oh.
Cooperative.
Oh, yeah. There was a.
Co-op.
We're gonna do
That's
it.
pretty
See?
fun.
Absolutely.
There
You
was
get
a
to build
mod
the
to
base
do that.
together.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
look
it.
at the promo videos. They see somebody like they're down deep and they're running out of oxygen and they're clearly not going to make it and they're going to die. And then someone else shows up in one of the trucks,
Yeah.
Nice.
to save them. Yeah.
That's dope.
It's a good game. It's like what was it, like Swedish or some Scandinavian country or something?
Seems like it.
It's like an indie company, like not one of the giant companies, but it's great.
Subnautica,
Really is
it's called?
Subnautica. It's
Yeah.
a very, very good game.
Let me tell you the premise of the game real quick. So you are
Unknown Worlds Entertainment, sorry.
you're a scientist, and you're on a giant spacecraft that is essentially like a research facility that's going to other planets to research their aquatic creatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the name of the ship is the Aurora. The Aurora crashes on this particular planet. I still don't know if they were going to that planet or if it was just some random
Diverted.
Planet. Yeah,
I think
don't know.
I think they were diverted.
So what happens is, and this is exactly where the game starts. You are in your own lifeboat, like life pod,
It's a pod, yeah, life pod.
and the ship is crashed in the water, and your life pod is about a half a mile away from it, and make it
You
happen.
have nothing.
You have nothing.
Nothing. Mm-hmm.
And you have to.
You got to grab a fish and make bleach and then
Yeah.
Yeah,
turn
you got to
that
do
into
all sorts
water.
of stuff. Yeah, it's really incredible.
But you're in your escape pod.
Yeah.
And the main ship is.
Crashed and
Next
well,
to
it's
you.
like on
Yeah.
a reef, so it's still like half above the water. But it's right at the beginning of the game, it becomes radioactive, so you can't get anywhere near it.
Well, that sucks.
Eventually, you do get to the ship to salvage, but you don't get a lot, but you do salvage.
But there is one important thing here, Bob, which I think you'll like. the lifeboat that you're on has a replicator.
Yeah, that's
And
What base matter does it use to replicate?
all sorts of stuff. Like if you go out and find,
That's good.
if you put a fish
Yeah.
in it, it'll cook it for you. If the fish has a lot of water in it, it'll make you water. If you find titanium, which there's copper and titanium and silver. You find all this stuff, you could start to make stuff, and then you could start to make stuff out of the stuff you make. And then
How big is it?
Yeah, it's about this big.
well.
Replicator.
You have a replicator, but then you also get a replicator gun, which you could make
Big
any
things.
size, like
Yeah.
your base out of, right? Anyway, it's a fun game.
Okay.
And then the Sub-Zero one, it's a different planet, same basic
Arctic
thing.
Snowball planet?
Not totally. There's ocean with hot springs and stuff, but when you go on to land, it's pretty much frozen.
So, but this game, the first game doesn't have a temperature component. The Sub-Zero game, you could
Does.
you could die from hot and cold.
You could die from hypothermia.
Yeah, so you gotta watch out.
It's also good if you're experiencing thalassophobia, right?
Ah.
Where the persistent fear of the deep.
That's not from the game.
It's not from the game, but there is a Reaper in
famous
there
picture.
that I don't
I've
want
seen
to
that.
give away.
Yeah,
The
there's-
Reaper, when you first encounter it, or whatever it's called,
It's
Leviathan
scary.
Reaper, that
The
thing.
Leviathan class.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird.
it's like, ah! It's very freaky.
It is, and like they do the water so well. Like the swimming,
pretty
It's very
fe-
good.
It feels like swimming. All of the water stuff is excellent, but they also do like the big, like Ian was saying, like anything that's, the ocean is huge, right? And like when you're in the ocean, it
Huge.
feels huge, and then it gives you that sense. There's a lot of like depth to the.
It's very easy to get disoriented. You go into an underground cave, and because it's 3-dimensional, and you're not used to thinking 3-dimensionally, especially early
Wow,
on.
in fourth dimension.
Yeah, in the game, it's easy to get like what is up, which way am I going? You get lost, then of course you get lost in a cave underwater.
You're dead.
You're dead. You drown.
That's it.
Yep.
Aspect ratio is weird.
Anyway, if you're a gamer and you haven't played it, I think you'd love it. It's a really cool resource management game.
It's true.
It's not like a heavy combat game,
it's very minimal
Right.
but it's a puzzle
in
game.
terms of combat. It's a building puzzle, and there's a plot. You are solving a plot, a storyline.
It's good to distract you from the rest of the world. Anyway, JFK.
Yes,
What do
here
you
it
guys think about that? Any thoughts on that?
I still don't like them.
You still don't like
I'm
'em.
trying, and I don't.
JFK?
No, you
Or-
thinking
How about
RFK?
I don't like RFK.
Okay, I said J.
No.
JFK.
JFK, different
I
FK.
question whether or not I always did. Not because his descendant is an asshole, but was he legit? Was he a good guy?
JFK.
Is any
Yeah.
president a good guy?
Was he?
I don't know.
From what I-
whatever.
I mean, he died pretty early.
It was pretty
his
young,
term,
right?
I mean, didn't he cheat on his wife with Marilyn Monroe?
He
Is
did.
that-
That's
is
the
that-
I mean,
rumor,
what are you asking?
He
A
did.
good president or a good person?
I'm asking you.
I'm asking you.
Okay. What the hell?
Yeah, so Trump, I think he released some JFK files in his first term. Now he's releasing more.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, it's a big nothing burger. Like, are we expecting the conspiracy to come out here?
Yeah, so it released as many as 80,000, but like 99% of those had already been released.
Yeah.
Some of them, it's
wonderful.
they're difficult to read because of their age, apparently. So they're
Mm-hmm.
kind of blurry or whatever. They're faded away. Early takeaways. Some Columbia University professor said that it's pretty much trying to any redacted stuff is to redact any highly sensitive details about CIA intelligence gathering, which
Really,
makes
this
sense.
administration gives a shit about that?
Yeah, probably.
So why
They still
do we care
that.
about this though? This sounds like it's nothing.
Well, I guess which
It's all
ones are your
performative.
favorite conspiracies about the JFK assassination?
They're all
if
dumb.
You have, they're all dumb. Okay.
I just don't even.
Are there
care.
any that pique the interest? Like
No,
the aliens
really.
came down?
No,
and-
I want to know more about his relationship with Marilyn Monroe.
Okay, well,
Okay.
right. And any videos they have on that? Okay, no. So this is the second release of the Kennedy Papers. Some redactions. It kind of blew up on Twitter, what is formerly known as Twitter, but with not much coming of it. And then there's plans to release more about RFK Sr. and Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay.
Those killings.
Right.
But
lots of three-letter name people here.
That's true. All the experts are saying just like wait and see, but there's not really anything that's a smoking
Nothing's
gun,
going
so
to
to
come.
speak.
It's going to be nothing.
There's like some
Yep.
stuff about what the CIA does, overseas, et cetera, but that's about, We kind of all
Whatever.
know that, I think.
Yeah, this is one of those things that like it sounds more provocative than it ends up being.
Right.
And then they make a big deal out of it, and they talk about it on the news, and then you realize after watching it that you didn't learn anything.
Yep.
Like, okay, great. There's lots of
and you're not talking about the much more important stuff that's happening.
yeah. There is another FK out there that needs to
FK inning.
we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Next,
that's
we'll get the Pentagon releasing more secret UFO videos.
Oh yes, perfect. That'll keep us nice and busy. Well, so there was that. Let's look at some of the other topics. There's not much there. Oh, cooking with hot water. We could jump straight to that. We saved this from last week.
Hot water.
So if you guys know anything about cooking pasta, do you cook pasta with hot water from the tap or cold water? Personally,
I mean, I will sometimes I'll put hot
Cold.
water in the pot to go because I'm in a rush, right? And I don't want to wait for the water to boil. But I do understand that there could be differences between hot and cold water.
Yeah, this is one of those things that sounds like bullshit at first, but there's a kernel of truth in there. In that, I think for most people, it probably doesn't matter. But the idea is, what is true is that hot water will leach stuff from the pipes more than cold water.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have old pipes, certainly if you live in an old city where there may be lead pipes in your in the chain that's delivering water to your home, then you could get more of that leached into the water if you are pulling it. If you're cooking with or drinking hot water from your hot water tank or whatever.
yeah. So there was a video going around on the TikTok, of course. Let's see if they have anything interesting to
Did
add.
you know
Did you know?
water to cook, you're not supposed to use hot water from the tap? Because I'll tell y'all what, I had no idea. My ass sure has spent 30-something years using hot water from the tap so that my spaghetti water would boil a little bit faster. The number one reason for this is lead. Hot water dissolves lead in your pipes more quickly than cold
What?
water
What
does,
lead?
so hot water is more likely
Oh,
to
some lead
contain
parts, yeah.
lead particles.
There are
The
still
other
cities in
reason
this
has
country
to
that
do
have
with
lead
your
pipes.
hot water
Sure.
tank. So the tank is made out of metals, right? And those metals can start to corrode and break off, ending up with heavy metal in your hot water. Not to mention that
Heavy
while the
metal,
water
dope.
sits in your hot water tank,
She
it can
looks
start to
sane.
stagnate
Yeah.
and grow bacteria
fine.
and other microorganisms. The solution here is pretty simple but kind of annoying. You just have to cook with cold water from the tap and let the stove or the oven do the heating for you. One more idea, if you're really impatient, you can use an electric kettle, starting with cold water, heating it up, and then pouring it into your pot.
I think this is a nothing burger.
Well, there's
for a
something
lot
to
of
it, but
people, it's not.
maybe it's go ahead.
It
Have
depends.
your water tested, right? Have your water
Yeah, you
tested.
could have your
and
water
see where you're
tested.
at.
But if you live in whatever newer construction, you have
Yeah.
good pipes and everything. It makes less and less of a difference the better your.
I'm disappointed because I thought
infrastructure
there
is-
was going to be like a flavor deal mixed in.
No,
with
it's
this.
just you're going to get more
health.
lead in there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, at my age, Steve, I get 10 more seconds of life. If
Get
I
a
don't.
little lead. Lead
Whatever.
makes the pasta nice and chewy, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Lead has a
softer.
taste.
That's it. Lead has a taste. That's true.
I mean, I have a brand new water heater in my house, as
Mm-hmm.
of 2 years ago. I'm sure everything's fine.
What if you have one of those tankless heating systems? Does it matter then?
No, because it's
Not sitting there.
That's right.
So maybe we should all get tankless water heaters.
Yeah, but
That's true.
I read, this is what I've been told and I've read.
Uh-oh.
This is exactly what everybody says.
But do you know what you're talking about?
Those are great. Those tankless water heaters are great.
Until they stop
right
working.
until they're not.
Yeah, right until they
Which
stop
means
working.
that getting them fixed
Classic problem.
doesn't happen as often as get rid of it and get a new one, regardless of how new the one is that that broke down.
How tankless? How is it tankless? Is that force fields? What are they?
No, it just runs the water through a series of
It
baffles.
heats it as
tubes.
needed.
As
Heating
needed.
on demand.
Yeah, I just wanted
It's
to
not
say
storing.
force fields.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's like these curled pipes, and the water goes through there, and it heats it as it goes through.
Tank
So
is a series of tubes.
how efficient that is depends on how cold your water is out of the well.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's cold. Yeah,
if it's really cold, like if you have well water and it's really cold out, and you're starting with water that's 4 degrees Celsius or something, then it takes longer to heat up, and it's not as effective. Doesn't get as hot.
Someone
Yeah.
says get a heat pump water heater. They're 3 times as efficient as tankless.
Okay.
Yeah, heat pumps are good.
And then this is all interesting. Silac, write a book.
Write a book. System of tubes, like the internet. That's right.
Are you getting the sense that we're rushing to the bread segment?
No,
Yes.
we have other things we're going to talk about.
All right, peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Oh,
What
Bob,
do you
prepare
guys?
yourself.
You like it,
Bob.
Bob?
Do you like
Thoughts?
peanut butter? Yes or no?
Loins are girded.
Yes,
I'm
yes or
ready.
no?
The
You like it?
loins
You
are
like the
girded.
peanut butter?
No.
You love it.
Love it.
You love
Love
it.
peanut
Okay,
butter.
I know.
Gotta have it.
Good. Bob,
Need
you
to
have to
have it.
throw out all of your peanut butter.
Yes.
Throw it
Now.
out.
Do you know why?
Never consume peanut
Yep.
butter again.
Oh my
Yep,
gosh.
I know why.
Big nut.
And before
wants
you start
to-
the video,
Oh, sorry.
Bob, why don't you wear dresses and makeup like that anymore? I used to like that.
Okay.
Jay, that's private.
No, that was your Halloween costume.
That outfit right there with the red dress and
No,
the
you
makeup?
looked good in your Halloween costume that time. Remember at the conference?
Which one? Oh,
Yeah,
I
as
looked
Ginger.
horrible.
No,
I
you
looked
looked great.
I'm a
You got hit on
horrible
all
woman.
night.
Huh? I did get
Hit on?
Yeah,
on.
you did. Of course you did. All right, here we go.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Here we go.
Peanut butter. Even if it's organic, lovely, whole foods peanut butter hand crushed by birds, don't eat it. The peanuts,
Why would you
when
eat it
they're
from birds?
stored,
What?
they release a gas, and that gas is so carcinogenic. Those peanuts are then crushed and put into
music.
peanut butter, and there are so many oils in there. There are so many acids in there that are all carcinogenic. You're basically
Acids?
eating junk to your
Oils.
body. You are hurting your body. You are reducing your health.
You are reducing your
I
health.
will not stand for this, so I got to sit down.
All right, so the bottom line is
All right.
now
Oh.
this person is getting paid or what I was trying to get paid
Sure.
by essentially making up a conspiracy that is, of course, not real. Like peanut butter is none of those things. And the bottom line is that they're just trying to like get people to go, what? You know, like they want the shock value,
Right,
so people
right.
watch, and that's it. It's all
No,
lies.
well, here's some reality. Here's a reality injection. There can be a toxin that's associated with peanuts.
Sure.
It's an aflatoxin. It comes from a mold, and so it can happen. And people outside of outside
developed
Western
nations.
nations can experience that. But that's why we've got the FDA. That's why peanuts and peanut butter are vetted thoroughly, and it's not a problem. It's not a problem. But it's not like there's carcinogens everywhere and acids. Oh my God! It's just
Bob,
such
all
bad mouthing
foods-
of peanut butter is.
Food, salt, acid
Horrible.
are like your three basic cooking components.
I would argue though,
Right.
Bob, that
What?
almost all foods have like some fungus problem at some point. Like whatever. Like we had this, and oh my God, we're steering back to politics. This is why we have departments like the FDA,
Yeah.
which is to help
And-
make
and
sure
yeah.
to regulate the food, to make sure that there's checks and balances and all that stuff. I don't know. In a year from now, peanut butter might kill you. It might, Bob.
No, the next video will be how
Right.
it cures cancer.
Yes.
Right. I actually wrote about this on science-based medicine.
Want to hear it? And here it go.
What,
today.
the peanut butter thing?
I referred to that video, but more about the general idea. Like this is the zeitgeist or the culture on TikTok.
Yeah.
You basically have people who clearly don't have a background in health and science and medicine, don't know what they're talking about, who feel like they have to warn the world about something they have no idea what they're talking
Let's
about.
make a video. Let's pick a topic right
But they-
now. And
What's
Ian,
gonna
cue
get
up that
hits?
music.
What's going to
Uh,
get
And
hits?
let's
Okay.
make one of those videos.
Bad mouthing peanut butter.
What do you want, Steve? What thing do you want to say? Pick anything, something like peanut
Nothing.
butter, something innocuous, and we will demonize it right now.
No, I don't wanna do
live
that.
on
Like
TikTok. What do you
Eating,
mean? No, of course
eating
we're gonna do
boogers.
it.
Eating
His
boogers.
name.
No.
You can't have his face
So
associated
what,
with that
wait,
nonsense.
look at it like this. What is something that people enjoy?
Peanut butter?
Peanut butter. Chocolate and peanut butter.
Chocolate.
Releases.
Yeah, chocolate's good.
Mustard
You
gas.
could bitch about chocolate.
But it's this idea like there's this thing, like this is a toxin and you got to completely eliminate it from your life. Everything is a toxin, right? It's all about the dose and the exposure, the risk
Yeah.
versus benefit. And so you could probably literally find something dangerous about every possible food.
Yeah, of course.
Like we just were talking last week about the loser who was saying that you shouldn't eat spinach.
Yeah. It's
Like
called
oxalates
spinach.
or
Like
whatever.
vegetables. Vegetables are bad for you now. Like everything, yes, there's good and bad in everything. It's all about the dose and moderation.
Right. And Steve, my favorite example, of course, is water
Water is-
poisoning.
yeah.
Water poisoning
Yes.
is a thing. You could poison yourself with water. It's all because of the how much you drank. That's it. I mean, that's the best example that I usually say. It's just like water can kill you. Water is poisonous in the right dose, and that's everything. Look at Steve. You Botox. You inject probably one of the most dangerous poisons around.
It's the most potent poison we know about.
You inject it into people. How are you possibly doing that?
And I'll tell you this,
Bob, are you discounting dihydrogen monoxide research division of America?
we know all about
How
that.
dare you?
I was first introduced to that chemical by our uncle when we were like 7 to 10 years old.
Do you know that
Straight out of a hose.
DHMO is a major component of acid rain?
Yeah.
That's true. You know what?
If you breathe it in, it'll kill you.
Oh my God.
No, so the woman actually said when they put peanuts in the peanut butter. And
Could you clear the little window thing on the chat?
on the
monitor?
chat. But that bothered me a lot. And I don't know if I'm being too critical or not, but does she not know that real peanut butter is basically peanuts and salt? Like, yeah, Jif has palm oil and sugar and one or two other ingredients in there that's basically creating peanut spread. But if you say peanut butter, it's peanuts and salt.
Mm-hmm.
And she's saying you're putting peanuts into peanuts and salt. So I guess if you start with the salt.
Well, you're just saying that it has that when you crush the peanuts, that whenever peanuts give off this toxic gas that gets into the peanut butter.
I'd be so dead
Whatever.
right now. I would be like,
you would have been dead long ago.
Decomposed.
Yeah.
You can't worry about that. First of all, it's all risk versus benefit, and there's also got to be some threshold, right? If there are just things that are below the threshold, just don't worry about it. If you're worrying about that level of things, you're probably going to cause more harm than good.
Right.
I'm going to give you an
yourself
anecdote.
a panic attack.
Yeah, I'll give you an anecdote.
Yeah.
Someone I know who needed CPAP for sleep apnea.
Yep.
Right?
CPAP for sleep apnea. Say that 3 times fast.
And they stopped using it because they heard online that the face mask has toxic plastic.
Of course it does.
So
Well, toxic plastic, to be fair, toxic plastic is cheaper than the non-toxic versions. That's why they used it.
yeah, but this is a FDA approved medical device, right? It's not like did you buy it this from like Mexico or something, or is this is it a legitimate medical device? But anyway, so that's that kind of thing I see all the time where people make decisions based upon flimsy, irresponsible kind of fear mongering online
And anecdotal shit.
that
It's
is actually that is actually going to cause them direct demonstrable harm. As opposed to just again thinking about it more rationally. The other thing is that it either implicit or explicit in all these videos that we see on TikTok where it's like, don't do this because the spinach is killing you, whatever, is the conspiracy theory that the regulatory agencies are like not on the job, right? They're not doing their job. They're not picking this up. I need to find out on TikTok that I'm not supposed to eat spinach.
when they come out saying to not eat spinach and peanut butter, we have now flipped it to the point where instead of telling us what not to eat, tell us what we freaking can
There's
eat.
nothing. That's the point.
Because there is nothing
There's
out
nothing
there.
left. There's nothing left.
Right.
If you're using that threshold, if that's your threshold and that's your scientific process, there's basically nothing left at
Yeah,
that
zero
point.
risk doesn't
exist. Zero risk doesn't exist. Exactly.
Steve wrote about it on Science-Based Medicine if you guys want to go over
Yeah.
and read some more about that, which is fun.
Okay, so that was fun.
That was it fun?
All right, so our collective advice is continue to eat peanut butter heavily.
Heavily.
Go for it. And
There are-
stay away from Jif, please. I mean, it's just crap. That's like
I like Jeff.
That's true. There are some other
tasty.
things that you may not know are bad for you.
What?
You ready for
Yes,
some
yes.
bad things?
Fastest way to hormone disruption, dryer
Here we go.
sheets.
Oh
This
my
stuff,
God.
when
Those
I
dryer
was
sheets, man, they're
chemically
gonna kill you.
sensitive, It was one of my biggest triggers. It would ruin my afternoon. My staff would literally tell people, please,
this
you can't
afternoon.
come in if you use fabric softener. These chemicals
What?
are absorbed right into the skin.
That guy's
into
as
the
orange as the
bloodstream.
Into
shells
the
behind
skin.
At
him.
least 6 neurotoxins in these products that we're absorbing. There's natural ones now. There's even dryer balls that you can use. The stuff works. Just get rid of this in your home.
Wait. Was that guy on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Take a look at
Mike?
him again.
Mike TV, Mike, the kid
my
who loved the
God.
Or
TV.
no, the Oompa Loompa.
He's an Oompa Loompa,
Dryer.
Bob. Look at him. Look at his
My
skin.
staff would literally
He's
tell
wearing blue. He's an Oompa Loompa.
Yeah, it could be the color balance, but
No, fuck him.
All right. Okay. All right, we'll go with that.
No, he's an Oompa
You know,
Loompa.
it's
Nice.
not easy to absorb
Part
stuff
Oompa
through
Loompa.
your skin.
Yeah.
I mean, remember
You can.
remember DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide?
Yes.
That I remember trying that as a, remember who had
Uncle
it? But
Bob.
you put a little bit on your skin, and you could actually a minute later you could taste it. You could change it to your taste. But it's not easy to absorb stuff through your skin. I mean, that's not an easy thing. And they're making these dryer sheets that will produce chemicals that can actually get absorbed into your skin.
Yes,
It's
it ruined
just
his
that
day,
alone,
Bob.
Yeah,
It ru-
it
he
triggered him.
He did his
ruined
laundry,
afternoon.
and it ruined his day.
People
Now
can't
listen, let's make this perfectly clear. Do not put dryer sheets in your peanut butter sandwich. That's what he should have said.
I guess that's
But you see, he took it too far. So we can't do laundry anymore. We can't eat peanut
Can't use
butter.
toilet paper.
Can't use toilet paper. We can't eat spinach. And the bottom line is you have to live in misery and fear for freaking ever, according
Right.
to TikTok, internet, whatever you want to say.
yeah, all over, all over the places. Let's see. So there's a couple other things. There's some fun stuff, some not some fun stuff. This is a fun one because it's related to something we do when we do the extravaganza, which you should come out and see the next time we're doing
Oh, I
extravaganza.
love this guy. I did this on the show recently.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's good. Play it.
Yeah, well, here we go. Yeah,
Pakistan, Patan. Today we have here the border in Afghanistan. We near have to the Afghani OCC border area. We have to the rocket launcher firing after the people 3,500 of blasting.
he almost is saying like certain words.
No, he
so
is
you can't-
repeating stuff he's heard.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. But that's a good mashup of basically like the English language.
Yeah, the phonemes
guy's
that
making
we
fun
use.
of English.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like,
He's
well,
good.
using the phonemes as we pronounce them, I guess. you
He
know?
actually said today we have,
Yeah.
but
He's listening to the news broadcast.
Yeah, that's
He-
right.
he
of
did a good
course.
job.
Yeah, he does have that broadcaster voice. It was a pretty fun one that people sent us in, of course. Here's a not fun one. So this guy, apparently a Texas representative. I'll give you a guess what he's going to talk about. Any ideas? Maybe something that was happening in Texas recently that he may be pro or against in an opposite way.
yeah, they did something recently.
They
I don't know, I
did
can't-
what did
something.
they-
What happened in Texas recently? All right, whatever. I'll just show it to you. All right, here we go. Oh, muted.
Shazline, I'm standing in front of our Texas state capitol, and I was alerted on X from a X post from Bud Kennedy. Now, you probably don't know who Bud Kennedy is, but he is a
Get a
reporter
windsock.
for the Star-Telegram in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, Star-Telegram's losing followers by the thousands. It's crazy. However, he attacks Christians in churches more than almost anyone else I know. And this post said that Mercy Culture Preparatory, which is a private school in my
Can't
district,
even hear
also
what he's
happens to
saying.
be where
So
I
terrible
send
that he
my
posted.
kids to school. He said they are the least vaccinated school in the state of Texas. Now, I was incredibly concerned for a couple different reasons. I was concerned that number one, we're just finding out about this. Because the second concern is, why haven't we celebrated this sooner? Look, I am so excited to say that Mercy Culture Prep is celebrating medical freedom, where we honor the wishes of moms and dads over any type of health official like Rachel Levine or so-called public health expert like Bud Kennedy. Now, hear me out on this. If you're taking your health advice from people like Bud Kennedy or Rachel Levine, it might be time to really make the decisions in your life. Now, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying
You are.
they both get the much needed help that they need. And in the meantime, I am going to award Mercy Culture Prep with the Medical Freedom Award for Texas House District 93. Thank you, moms and dads, for being patriots and making sure that we're not giving experimental vaccines to our children and we're protecting their medical freedom. My commitment is I'm going to keep fighting for you so you can keep making those decisions for your family and for yourself. Let's keep going. For faith, for family, and for freedom.
Yeah, so I like celebrating kids' health and negligence. Exactly.
Yeah. So this was he posted this. I mean, he posted that not listening to the audio, how terrible it was out in the wind, like such a dumbass.
good job.
But also during the measles outbreak,
Right, in
as
Texas.
you know, in Texas.
So we're seeing the celebration of ignorance once again,
Yep.
right? Like let's my internal response to guys like this is, so let me get this straight. So first off, you're demeaning two scientists or
Public health
officials.
Yeah, whoever they are.
You're demeaning them because they look older and they look fat.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually calls it out. He
Really?
tries to disqualify him from being, being harsh on them. He said something in there that was basically,
Yeah,
him
I'm
like,
not trying to be mean.
I'm not trying to be mean. Yeah, but you showed
Also,
that-
Rachel Levine is trans, so like they're like constantly
course.
attacking
Oh,
her. So that's like
Mm-hmm.
It's a
anyway.
perfecta.
But on top of that, and here is the hubris. He thinks that he knows better than people who dedicated their lives to a profession, to a field of science or fields of science. It's as if we don't have any trust or faith at all in scientists, and that's essentially what he's saying. That this is an anti-intellectual pursuit. Guised in the medical freedom idea. Like, okay, yeah, you actually can choose to do what you want. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. But if you live in a society, if we're going to go down the vaccine path, if you live in a society, guess what I'm going to say? You have obligations to that society. Now, you could choose to stay home. You can, and people did. But I mean, if you want to go out in public, you should wear a mask and you should get vaccinated. And if you don't do that, you're a selfish prick. That's it.
Well, what about driving freedom? I want to drive 90 miles an hour recklessly down the highway. I mean,
No
don't I
seatbelt.
deserve to have some driving freedom? I mean, what the hell?
I mean, I think they would argue yes. There's a famous video. Maybe I can find it. I don't know if you recall when they first implemented the no drinking while driving. I don't even know. I guess it's a federal law, right? I don't think it's state by state, but there's a famous video. I'll try to find it of people complaining. It's like, I get off of work and I can't have a beer while I'm driving home. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Hold on. Drinking and driving.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, it's old. It's like 70s video. Of course, it pops up. Here we
Oh,
go.
boy.
That's the first one. Come on, America. All right, here we go. This dude. Let me unmute it.
Is this real?
Oh, it's real. Yeah, this is 1980s. People react to DUI laws.
Oh,
Any attempt to restrict drinking and driving here is viewed by some as downright undemocratic.
It's kind of getting common when a fella can't put in a hard day's work, put in 11, 12 hours a day, and then get in your truck and at least drink 1 or 2 beers.
They're making it laws where you can't drink when you want to.
Maybe in the front.
You have to wear a seatbelt when you're driving. And pretty soon we're going to be communist country. Communist country.
Communist country. Wow. So, that's a fun
And it's
video.
hard to even know what to say about that.
It's hard to
That's
say.
the
yeah.
next step,
It's hard to
First,
know.
they make you wear a seatbelt, then they change the economic system.
And then they vote somebody in that actually wants to be a fucking communist.
And suddenly the workers are owning the means of production.
But yeah, the healthcare freedom thing is one of the alternative medicine people lean into that heavily. They, promote healthcare freedom laws in every state, et cetera. It is complete nonsense. It's basically the freedom to be an idiot. Or it's one, they want the freedom to sell snake oil to people. That's what they mean by healthcare freedom. Or in this case, they want the freedom to be irresponsible when it comes to public health. Because, vaccines protect other people. We protect each other. They protect society.
That's the critical thing.
And so, no, they're not experimental. If you're just saying that they're experimental means you have no idea what you're talking about. And, if again, as Jay said, in this country, we don't force people to get vaccines. It's just that you just need vaccines if you want to go to public school.
Yeah.
Which is why he's touting a private school that doesn't have that. So, yeah, but you know what? Those private schools with low vaccine rates, they're hotbeds of infectious disease.
Yeah, the kids are going to die.
That's where outbreaks are far more likely to happen
Yeah.
in those pockets of low vaccination uptake.
And the bottom line is that people will die.
Mm-hmm.
And there isn't going to be a, oh man, we were wrong moment. Because that's not what's in our future here, guys. They will go to all those funerals and they will do it all and they will still maintain their belief because there are people out there that can't admit that they're wrong and can't actually tell themselves.
Sometimes there are lots of cases. It's usually a parent whose child dies of a vaccine preventable illness and they're like, what was I thinking? That does happen.
Sure.
That kind of regret because at some point you can't deny the fact that your kid is dead. Your kid's dead.
The kid's dead.
Right, Jay?
Yeah.
You can't deny that fact. And, if it's like they died of an infectious disease that could have been prevented by a vaccine that you denied them, that's a pretty straight line. So that often does break through the denial. But certainly it doesn't affect the broader culture. I agree.
So when it comes to affecting the broader culture, what do you guys think of RFK's? I know we don't go too political, but RFK's plan on letting bird flu run rampant through the bird population, the chicken, specifically. Apparently he said, let the virus rip. Instead of calling the birds when the infection is discovered, farmers should consider maybe the possibility of letting it run through the flock so we can identify the birds and preserve the birds that are immune to it. How effective of a strategy do you feel that
He's a complete fucking moron. That's what I think about.
Dumbest thing I've heard.
This is the thing that they keep saying. This is an anti-vaccination, long-standing trope, the let her rip approach. They just let the infection, the natural infection, work its magic. It's complete nonsense. Because what happens when that happens is the virus mutates. You're letting the virus spread
and grow
is the same thing as saying let the virus mutate, let it become more infectious, more deadly. Let's increase the chance that it's going to jump to humans. It's bad. It's a dumb idea. It is not a good idea. And again, but this is like so close. This is just right in the center of the anti-vaccine nonsense.
Let it rip. Yeah. Okay.
Let it rip.
And then we will have a massive die out. And somebody said chicken and eggs prices will go up. I mean, that you hope that that's the only thing that happens. We might not have access to that food line anymore, right? It could be a very long thing here, and he's going to be in that seat long enough where it's not going to.
That happens right away.
Yeah,
that's not something that takes a long time. Like if you let it rip, and there's an epidemic in the chicken. Egg farming world, that will wipe out chicken eggs in a season. Like that doesn't take that long to happen. It's not like that's something that ripples through over years or something. That's the kind of thing that could be immediate, because those you can't obviously use the eggs from those birds, and those birds will die from the disease.
And this is armchair bullshit, guys. Right? We're not talking about somebody saying, hey, I've come to a very rational conclusion after research and statistics and all this stuff. Like this guy's just sitting there plucking these pearls out of his ass because that's what his gut tells him.
But it's worse than that, Jay, because he's not just making it up on the spot. Again, that is already deeply embedded in the anti-vaccine culture.
But somebody plucked that pearl out of their ass at some point.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how many assholes do you have to go back to get to the original pluck? But he's just repeating
it's not even an original stupid thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's already a well-worn stupid thing.
I mean, he already is responsible for a huge number of deaths that happened in Africa because he was suppressing a vaccine over there.
Not Africa.
Where was that?
It was what was this? It was some island. It was in Asia.
I'm sorry.
And there was measles. It was a measles outbreak.
Yeah.
I'm just forgetting the country.
Learns nothing from his past errors, right? It doesn't matter. He's got this idea in his head, and that's his reality, and that's what he's going to push.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to these people what actually happens from their decisions. They won't change their mind. There won't be any, coming to reality.
Not somebody like RFK Jr., because he is a conspiracy theorist. He is a hardcore conspiracy theorist.
I think the peanut lady also is not coming to her senses.
I don't know. That's
she might be a Poe. That could have been a Poe or no segment.
Could have been
done, but that's hard to say.
I don't know. It was a little bit specific.
That's true.
I don't know. I mean, what's the point of making a Poe that is exactly in the sweet spot of of everything else? You know what I mean?
It's true. Well, now some people were talking about bird or rather their egg prices coming down, which is true, but apparently it's in part to
regression to the mean.
Yeah, and like bird flu is sort of coming back, but also apparently we're importing a lot of eggs from Turkey. Although some experts I saw say that doesn't necessarily.
But they're turkey eggs?
That's true. Turkey eggs. So it could be all. Kind of a facade if we're importing something.
Solve the egg price.
I don't know if that's really true.
This is literally I couldn't. You can't.
I mean,
you can't look at this situation and if you don't see how absurd the whole thing is. The fact now that we're importing eggs not to lower egg prices, just to give us eggs.
Yeah.
Right? We're not even talking about this administration handling the price problem, which, I think somebody said that it was going to go away on day one.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
It's really frustrating, and it's to people like us. Where I sit, like I'm in a country now that doesn't feel like it's my country anymore. It doesn't feel like I'm not accustomed to this type of thinking at all, on this level, to this magnitude.
Well, maybe this will make you feel better about birds.
Brad?
Let's watch this. No, birds. Somebody sent this in. A parrot.
Not gonna hurt
Polly.
you. Huh?
Let's see. Ooh, why? I press play and then it mutes again.
It's not good.
It's so bad. Okay. What?
Yeah, I saw it happen.
You saw it happen, right? You have to press.
Hi, Molly. Hi, Molly. You sound different from my other phone calls.
There's apparently an AI talking to a parrot.
Wait,
Parrot.
is this a parrot? Let's test this. Try saying crackers. I see. Do you speak any other languages? Not to brag, but I can speak over 100.
No.
This is not real.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Did you
real.
want to play a game? Maybe peekaboo? Peekaboo.
Yeah.
Funny. I've had millions of calls with humans, but I've never had a call like this one. Was there anything you wanted to talk about besides crackers? Okay, Molly, I'm going to hang up.
Bye-bye.
Call me again if you ever need anything.
So anyway, people were sending us like, do you think this is real? Because
No.
it does seem edited, like in terms
How
of
do
the
you know
voice
it's not real?
behind it.
It
Well,
doesn't
that's
feel right.
You don't. Somebody. It was
Doesn't
Olivia.
feel
Okay, it
right.
was Olivia. I didn't
and
want to
the
out
bird,
you.
the bird wasn't moving its beak.
Well, the
and
bird
tongue.
probably was real. I think the bird was saying what it was saying, but I don't think the responses from the AI were real.
Well, that didn't sound like any AI I've ever heard either. So I don't know.
Well, more just that like they fit it to what the bird.
They
was
just
saying.
edited in
Yeah.
the AI part.
Right to
The
make it.
parrots
like-
are saying random parrot shit.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, it sounded like a parrot talking. It's
yeah,
not
the parrot-
outside the realm of that. That was a pretty parrot.
yeah, it's pretty. It's
Very
cute
pretty.
parrot. Pretty bird. That bird is racist, calling it a cracker.
Yeah, right.
That's right. Don't say the C word. How dare you?
No, it's okay to be
Gonna get us
racist now.
banned.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, to white people especially. Anyway, so let's move on from that. Hey, what about this? Did you know angels are making our microchips?
Yes. Yeah, I knew this.
Angels.
Yeah, of course.
Angels.
I mean, who do you think could make things that small? Bob?
It's so small.
Bob, it's impossible.
It's impossibly small.
It's not as if
the sports teams.
it's not as if
Yeah,
we've had
they-
a 60-year history of slowly, incrementally advancing technology, where every step of the way we could see how they were able to make smaller nanometer size, integrated circuits. Progressing from different types of technology until today, where we have ultraviolet lasers using smaller frequency light in order to make 5 nanometer, integrated circuits.
Yeah.
This just came out of nowhere.
just nowhere. It's clearly angels. All right, here we go.
And this guy can't imagine it, therefore it can't be
Blow your
real.
mind.
Yeah, it's gonna
That's
blow
a
your
human
mind,
hair
guys.
right there.
Look at that hair.
This is the Apple CPU, the little chip that's in your phone or your computer. Yeah, watch it and tell me this is not fallen angel technology. I don't know what to say.
Fallen angel. Oh, it's
Because nobody
evil.
can make something like this.
I don't know what to say. Nobody.
Not even a laser can shoot down that far and create something like that.
I mean, how small can you focus a
Just keep
laser
watching.
beam?
We're going way deep.
Yeah, let's go deep, yo.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
we're not
damn
done
deep.
yet.
How is he doing this?
This is the
goes
devil
further.
level.
I mean, I don't think this is him doing it. It's he's watching
No, he's
a
watching
video.
somebody else's video.
Somebody did. Yeah,
Hit the
somebody did it.
bottom. Finally.
Yeah, I mean, it is impressive
This
the
is just-
telescope or
it
the
blows
microscope
my
to begin
mind.
with,
I
rather.
can't even fathom it. I can't understand it. But that's
Okay.
exactly what fallen angel technology does. You can't even imagine. You can't imagine it.
I don't know,
Or
if you-
maybe you're just stupid.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe. One of the two.
Shocker, you could actually understand it. You could.
You could spend
could.
10 minutes on Google
Or no, but or you could educate yourself for real. I mean, if you're going to make that claim, but what are we talking about?
Right, so you understand everything then, right? So his level of understanding is so great that if he doesn't understand it, it's paranormal.
Dude, if you took a camera and zoomed in on a car engine, I could say exactly what I don't understand. I have a basic understanding of how things like, but
cars are magic. Car engines are nobody could build that technology. That's magic.
I know, but like think about how less complex a car engine is to that chip, and I still can be confounded by things that are that big.
Well, that was when I wrote about this on SBM. One of my points at the end was you're not as smart as you think you are. That basically,
you don't know what you think.
If you don't understand something, don't assume that the world is broken or that there's a conspiracy against you. Or whatever. Assume that you don't understand it. So assume that you are wrong, or you are ignorant, or there's just something you don't know, or you're making a mistake.
Yeah,
because that's what's true.
I mean, zoom in on the human hair. If you keep going in, it gets pretty freaking complicated.
Fallen angel.
So we're fallen angel tech too.
Yeah,
that's right.
We're basically angel
Lizard
borgs.
tech.
We're angel borgs. We're constructions.
I mean, some people were saying that is a pretty intense zoom, which it is. I mean, it's a pretty
the zoom is
microscope.
actually as impressive as the computer chip.
You can see around the
That's
circle.
the halo. That's the halo.
That's the circle.
Ian.
Oops, I accidentally liked it.
Is it even a real zoom?
I don't know. It could be composite, but you can see the arrow going around, so it kind of is somewhat indicative of some sort of dialing in, of the intensity.
I mean, it could have come from the factory that made it. And if you believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is there Chinese lettering or Asian lettering right there?
Right here? I don't think
that's
lettering.
Stop, right there.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what that says. It's like a star, and I can't really see what that says.
It does.
It's out of focus.
That could be the devil's signature,
I mean, this also looks like somewhat floating over it. So is that like some sort of composite?
Yes, it's always floating there. Yeah.
Ah, so it's the devil.
angels, man.
Mm-hmm.
But how come only the middle one is? Is it the only one that's in the middle section there?
I think that's just a focus issue, I guess.
Yeah, I would assume it's focused. They're kind of like, you can see it.
Yeah, they start coming in as you get closer.
It's just how small it is.
It has like a fisheye quality to the lens.
Somebody's saying there's an electron microscope, probably.
Yeah.
Silek was saying. Yeah, I mean, could be. All right, let's see what we got on the list. What did we... Cooking with hot water, JFK, astronauts are back. Will it bread? Will it bread?
The best
it is
part
time
of my week.
for the Will It Bread segment. Oh, there's a double Will It Bread segment. Let me play some Will It Bread music. I love bread. Okay, so since it is Ireland Day, it is essentially St. Patty's.
The day after.
Yeah, St. Patty's week.
2 days after St. Patty's.
Whatever. I instead of making the kind of cliche soda bread, I made something else. So here, I'll
Good, because I had a lot of soda bread.
Did you make juice bread? Yeah. Milk bread. Yay!
Oh my God! What do we got?
All right, guys, don't eat in front of the mics.
Put in the milk. It's okay. And then here's some Irish butter.
Is it salted?
That is salted butter, yes.
Can you guys eat unsalted butter?
Yeah. Right?
To
Why
me,
not?
it's disgusting.
I don't like it.
Disgusting.
I stay away from butter.
You cook with it. You don't. Eat
I'll tell you, the Kerrygold butter is pretty good. Now, let me give you a heads up on this. So this is Irish brown bread. Okay, so it is. It's whole wheat flour, oats, butter, honey, molasses, brown sugar. Now, the one thing that it is also made with. Now, it should be cooked out because it was baked, but it's made with Guinness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the alcohol will always bake off.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
is that a
if
dryer
you're cool
sheet?
with that,
Is
it should
wrapped
be.
in a dryer sheet?
No,
Yeah,
that's
what are you
parchment
doing?
paper. That's parchment paper. So I made a couple loaves. So hopefully it's good. Actually, Jay, can you move the mic to your left or right? Yeah, that's good. Just so we can get a view. I'll play some more
track
music.
record.
Very
Ian,
well
so
wrapped,
far.
Ian. Very well wrapped.
I tried to keep it. Hopefully it cooked all the way. Unsalted butter is not good on bread. People are saying that's true. What we call soda bread is technically spotted dick. Okay, so thanks for not whipping out your spot. Okay, thanks, Johnny Rose. So yeah, that's the. Hopefully it's cooked all the way through, which I think it is.
Very nice looking.
All right, it's good.
Let's see.
Ian, I mean, you're doing like lots of bacon here, man.
I know. I'm trying. I'm trying. It's. I mean, it's every week we gotta. It's a Will It Bread segment. Come on, gotta do it. There you go.
I'm gonna try it first before I put butter on it.
Okay. So it should
Oh,
have
it's
like
nice.
a
It's a
somewhat
little
hearty
sweet.
thing,
It's a
but
little
there's
sweet.
a little
It's very
sweet
hearty.
honey and molasses. Let's see.
It tastes a
Bob's
little-
version. What do you think?
Oh, it's really good. I like
Is it the Guinness that's giving?
Pumpernickel-y?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, the whole
Yeah.
wheat flour
Yeah.
and the oat, maybe. I drink to that a Guinness, yeah. So a Guinness for all you Irish and Irish appreciators. Irish. Get your Guinness out.
There you go.
Get
All
your
right,
Brits
so
out.
this is nice, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's hearty.
And,
It's hearty, right? Yeah.
Yeah, if you let it dry out a little bit, it's like you go to like an old medieval tavern,
Mm.
and they put this on the table with like some some beer.
Yeah. Did you bring enough for the share with the rest of the chat? No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, chat.
This would be good with peanut butter.
That's what I was thinking too, actually. Little peanut butter,
Try a little
brown bread situation.
What brand flour did you use?
That is King Arthur, of course.
Yeah.
Got to use King Arthur.
That's
That
all I
is
use.
my favorite. That's pretty much all I use as well. That's fun.
I'm really enjoying this segment.
Yeah, of course. It's bread. How could you not? Let me see if I can do that. Hold on.
You know, bread was one of the reasons why civilization was capable of starting.
That's true. I
yeah?
think so. I mean, getting
How so?
wheat. I mean, in terms
Does every civilization have their version of bread?
That's a good question. Actually.
There's tons of different ways that people use wheat to make bread.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of varieties of wheat. It's really interesting. But like in ancient Egypt, they developed the agriculture to make wheat, and bread was the food item that, like the number one food item that they would do with that, and that just became like this staple. And you know what happens when you have a consistent food and water source? You don't have to, be nomadic anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have to be moving around, and they were able to consistently sustain themselves. And bread was it, man.
So, in the honor of that, since we've been doing the Will It Bread for a couple weeks, what do you guys think about doing a tier list thus far?
Yeah.
With these three. So we had the Ninish tart. It's not really a bread, but I don't care. We're going to lump it all together whenever I make this stuff. So there was the Ninish tart, there was the scones, and there was the Irish brown bread. Where do you think an S to D or F? We could even make an F category if I make something really abhorrent, which we may try.
I'm enjoying this the most.
It's Irish brown bread, it's called.
Yeah, this is very good.
Yeah.
You think that's good? Is it better than the scones? Or what do or you could just say, what do you think? S or A?
Wait.
You
So
could
this,
leave some wiggle room. So S tier is top tier.
like all time or for this list?
For this list. Like comparative to the other things, I would
This is a
assume.
yes.
S?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll say S. Scones, what do you think? A through D? Anything in that realm?
They were damn good.
They weren't triangular though, Ian.
But they're not.
So I
That's
think you
true.
have to give it an F, an A rather.
All right. Well, the English would have invaded me if I made them triangular. They would have.
I think the next one's an A as well.
The Ninish tart?
Those are good.
Those were good. A?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we got that. So chatters, if you are in the Discord or anything like that, hit me up with some bread suggestions from other countries, and maybe I'll make some. I have some plans for some, and it doesn't have to be bread. There's some like dessert ones that are kind of like bread adjacent. I don't care.
Bread adjacent.
Yeah,
Breadish.
Breadish, and that we'll make those. So
Really good, Ian.
yeah, it's good, right?
Came out great, man.
All right, good.
I'm going for.
Is there such a
sequel.
thing as a bad bread? I mean, I'm sure there are some breads that
I
are
love
not.
bread. I love
Yeah.
all kinds of bread.
Breads are good.
What's your favorite bread?
Yeah, what do you think?
Mine is, do you know what my favorite bread is?
I would say Italian.
Argentinian bread.
No.
Oh, I have an idea.
Rye
for one.
bread.
Rye
Rye.
bread.
Mm-hmm.
I love rye too.
Do you like pumpernickel equally, or rye is better than?
Rye is
pumpernickel?
better than pumpernickel.
Yeah.
Pumpernickel's good.
Ciabatta, somebody says.
I like whole wheat,
Pan
like
dulce?
whole grain, multi-grain breads, like the hearty bread. That's why I like those. Anything that hearty bread. Now, of course, like off the hook Italian bread is right up there as
top
well,
tier.
but that's a
Yeah.
little context dependent. That's good for lots of things. But
Linda is correct in the chat, by the way. Bread that you will find in Tuscany isn't cooked with salt. They don't use salt.
Yeah, they're not supposed to eat it straight. You're supposed to eat it with the sauces or whatever.
Yeah, it's a
dip it in your
bread.
soup. Yeah.
So like they'll bring it to the table, and most people that are not from that region would be like, "Yeah, I'm going to let's eat it.
Just eat a
And
chunk
you're
of bread.
And you're like, "What's happening? Why is this happening?
Why is there no flavor in this bread?"
It's not. It also isn't that crusty. Their bread isn't crusty enough for me. Like to me, when I say Italian bread, I'm talking about. It's kind of like you could think of it as like a boule, right? There's a heavy crust on it, and the bread and the crumb inside has a lot of flavor as well, not just the the outside.
Thanks for the gifted membership, chatter.
Thank you.
Thank you,
What's
Paul.
happening? What's happening?
They gifted a membership to somebody in the chat. So
Excellent.
thank you so much. You can do that at any time or become a member.
Like I love pumpernickel.
Pumpernickel, I know. Isn't that what you were working on, making a pumpernickel? Or
I bought everything. I'm going to make it this weekend.
Ooh.
So guys, I would argue that this bread is also on the cake spectrum.
Ooh.
It's a continuum between bread and cake.
Right. Yeah. It's farther along that continuum.
Like banana bread is pretty damn close to cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a notch
Because there's
over
sugar in it and molasses and honey.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah, it's almost.
Focaccia is great. Sourdough bread is great.
And perfectly cooked, by the way, Ian.
Is it? Oh, good.
Dude,
I'm
you
glad.
killed it.
What's your favorite thing to
Hooray.
eat with bread?
Ooh.
Pasta and meatballs.
What about a French onion soup? You put that bread on top.
Pasta and
cheese.
meatballs. That's
right, Ian.
But I also enjoy it like with a salad. I'd like to have bread.
I
or
really like
a
my
soup.
salads with bread. Bread and salad is a great pairing.
That's a great combo.
Thing is, I can eat pasta and meatballs without bread. It's fine. And sometimes the bread is a little bit heavy for that. Although I love it with it as well, but I'm just saying. But like, it's a really perfect pairing with salad. But I think my favorite combo is bread and cheese.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
If you some nice, thinly sliced, not too thin, but sourdough with either rye bread or like the really good Italian bread is amazing.
Like sesame Italian bread?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
That's my favorite.
I knew it.
That's my favorite.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bread and soup goes together really, really well.
Yeah.
When we went to Little Italy, I went into the baker and I bought the Italian bread that they have, and it was exactly like the Italian bread that we grew up on.
Yeah.
Obviously the reason why it's my favorite bread. And then Steve, we all go next door, and Steve bought me a hunk of real Parmesan cheese.
Parmigiano.
The real deal, not the El Cheapo crap that you see in the supermarket. And I'm not just talking about the bottled stuff. Let me get to the microphone. Not just the bottled stuff.
Sorry.
But you could buy Parmesan in the supermarket
TikTok.
that is lesser Parmesan. Like it just isn't the real deal. It isn't the high end stuff, and the flavor difference is dramatic. Now you eat the two of those, and it's one of the best goddamn treats out there. It's fantastic.
And you talk about civilization changing. The whole purpose of cheese. But one of the big advantage is it keeps.
That's right.
Right, like the hard cheese is like Parmesan. That's like 6 months, 9 months. So if you're trying to imagine surviving the winter,
Yeah.
right, in pre-modern civilization.
Is that before the internet?
So with you can't ship vegetables from California.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to, going into November. From November, December, January, February, like 4 months, a third of the year.
That's a lot of meals. How many meals?
That's a lot of calories. It's a lot of meals where you're surviving on whatever you were able to store by the end of like October, November. Now, there are some winter, you can grow potatoes in the winter. That's why potatoes are huge.
You can grow them in the winter?
Yeah, because there's root vegetables. They're under the ground. So you could harvest them like in December, January.
In the root cellar, Bob.
That's why you have root cellars. You can grow mushrooms if
That's where what's her name was.
Yep.
But by and
Evil
large,
Dead
of course, you could hunt for meat. In
But nobody
the
wants to
winter.
do that. Look, it's cold. Your bed is warm. It's like 6 a.m. Your bed is warm. You've got 15 blankets on you. Would you rather reach over and grab a hunk of cheese, or would you rather go out and kill an animal, drain it of its blood?
You might get dysentery when you're crossing the river.
Then you gotta get the skin off, butcher it, cook it, and then you can eat it.
But then you get meat.
Then you get meat.
I'd rather just get, wake up and call DoorDash.
Yeah, right.
That's
No, but and people. This is why people starve to death over the winter.
That's true.
Because they're, think how close they were living to starvation.
Yeah.
So anything that keeps. I remember like when we were, we have a local farmers market here. We always go in October because they have the pumpkin festival, whatever, all that stuff going on. But they sell a lot of different stuff that you can't get anywhere else. So
They sell hardtack?
They're never going to see it in the grocery store. So they sell a lot of different gourds and squashes.
Yes.
And things that you can eat, like for cooking. They tell you this is decorative, this is for cooking, right? So there's one called, it's like a Blue Hubbard, I think is the name of it. It's a squash. It's like this big. Kind of
excuse me,
elongated, kind of lumpy
you
kind
can't
of
eat that.
squash. No, you can't eat it. Yeah. And the thing is, if the rind is intact, it'll keep for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
So that'll keep for the winter. You store 20, 30, 50, 100 of those things up.
That's a good backup.
Crack one of those open
man.
every week, for throughout the winter. That was huge. Those kind of things that survive the winter, was life and death up until this century. You know what I mean? Like the last 100 years. Then of course jarring and canning was huge.
Keith, what
jerking
is green
meat
cap
is
farm?
really important.
So the jarring
Out of
thing,
your gourd.
like you think about, there's some milestones in
Yeah.
the history of food globally. There's a
Right.
few milestones. They used to preserve meats with salt.
Yeah.
We got the meats.
And meat was a big freaking problem. I mean, it's hard to keep. You don't need pre-refrigeration.
Jerky, baby.
Yeah, that's what they jerk meat to
That's right.
preserve it. You could
But-
smoke it.
Yep.
You could pickle it. You could salt it.
Put it in a stew.
Yeah. Put it in a stew. Mash it. Smash it. Put them in a stew.
Or just put it in your freezer.
But
got a stew going.
canning and refrigeration are two massive cornerstones.
Refrigeration was freezing. Yeah, massive.
Unbelievable. Like think
And
about
you had
what-
to keep critters out of it.
But the idea
Critters away is critical too.
that when
me
you
about
can
it.
something, like a lot of canning, they cook it in the can. Like tuna fish is cooked in the can. They don't.
You can't cook it sealed. You have to seal
cook
it after it's
Yeah, of course. But
yeah.
the point is, you cook it in the can, and then you seal it. There's no bacteria in there.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
right?
the whole canning.
I remember. I
process.
don't know what kind of TV show it was. It could have been like, one of the scary TV shows when we were kids. But there was a bunch of people. It was like post-apocalyptic, and they had this oracle, and the oracle was telling them like what food they could eat and what food they couldn't eat. And then one guy decides, I'm not going to listen to the oracle, I'm hungry, or he drinks the water or whatever. And it turns out the oracle was a freaking computer, right?
Yeah.
That could analyze the food and tell you if it had bacteria or not. Do you remember that?
Nice.
Do you remember that?
Is that in Silo?
No, this was like, when we were kids. Like, we were watching old TV shows when we were kids, right? So
I don't
we
remember
had,
that one.
We had The Twilight Zone. We had, a lot of the sci-fi ones that we were watching.
Outer Limits,
Outer
yeah.
Limits. I
Yeah.
think that was an Outer Limits.
There was a recent limited series about an Arctic expedition, and
Was this the monster one?
no,
Shackleton?
no, this was I forget what it's some British thing, and it was like soon after like canning came into existence, and so so they were able to go on this many-month expedition because the ship was full of canned food. Long sea travel also a situation where you need to think very carefully about your food supply. Then it turns out though that there was lead in the can, and so the whole crew is progressively getting lead poisoning throughout the journey and going crazy. It also reminds me of Wind in the Willows. You guys ever see the cartoon Wind in the Willows? You remember the episode where the Toad, Mr. Toad, discovers canning? He's very excitable and very enthusiastic, but not very detail oriented, Mr. Toad. So he got into canning, but he missed the part where you have to cook it first and sterilize. So his cans were exploding with the bacteria and the gases.
Right. Oh,
Oops.
I hate when that happens.
Whoops.
So
I want more bread.
Yeah, what I learned today
You
is
can
that
have
there is no
whatever you
diet on Wednesdays.
That's true.
No.
I do apologize for that.
Well, I'm
Whatever
just
Ian
building this into my caloric intake.
That's right. You
Yeah,
just gotta.
This is lunch.
Yeah, but
I think this is the video, or maybe you were talking about another video, but this is one I watched. Scary Interesting is the YouTube channel. The disturbing disappearance of the Franklin expedition I think that's the one. They went to the Arctic, right? And they had lead in the, like, there's a bunch of them keeled over. But
it might have been based on that. This was like a fiction.
Oh, it was a
fiction. But it was, I think it was based on something.
Yeah, this is, I watched that a little while ago. Anyway, yep, count your calories, chat. I did post the link into the live stream questions for the authentic Irish brown bread. I know you guys were saying maybe I should post it early so you could make it along with me and then have it with us. And maybe I will do that. We'll keep it a secret from the guys until then.
That'd be really cool.
That's fun. Yeah, if
you guys could send us video of you eating.
That's true. Yeah, if you want of you chomping away, misophonia and all, please. All right, what do we have left on the thing? Basically TikToks. I don't think there's anything else we had, unless you guys wanted to talk about anything coming up sometime in May.
Well, what's happening in May? Nothing's happening in May.
So there's been many meetings recently. It turns out that Ian has an attitude problem.
What?
No, we've been
my pitch.
We've been talking a lot, of course, about the conference. I mean, I'm in like all conference mode. That's all I'm doing now because we're in the home stretch here. We really want to impress upon all of you how funny Steve is when you meet him in person. You really got to see this. Yeah, we have a wonderful conference planned for this year. I'm excited. I was talking to Evan last night about the board game stuff, and then we just started talking about the conference. And yeah, we're all very excited. It's really going to be a lot of fun. You can see the website there. It's notaconcon.com. We're going to have a conference that is not like any other conference you've been to, because this isn't about listening to people talk. It's about everybody having a good time and socializing. It's going to be 2.3 days of a ton of fun. I'd like to make this announcement now, Ian. I don't know if you're ready for this. I'm just kidding. We on the 15th, which is the Thursday night, there's two things going on. There's the board meeting.
And shit.
The board game. The board game thing.
Oh, okay.
Starts, I think we're starting that at 3.
What did I do?
Or 4. I forget. It's on the schedule. And then we do the VIP. The VIP starts at 7 p.m. At 9 p.m., everybody's going to be allowed into the VIP, which is basically means it's not the VIP anymore. It's called a party at that point. Yeah, so that's going to be a ton of fun. We are also talking about adding some secret Star Wars content to the conference. Because I am doing lots of things. We don't meet every week anymore, the board, because we made all of our decisions. Now it's my turn to dig in and
execute them.
To execute with all the commands. But I've been talking to Adam, who's going to be at the conference, who is he's a famous musician, and he is also a famous Star Wars nerd. And Adam and I are now discussing some content that we're going to do during dinner time. Either on Friday or Saturday or both nights.
Do I need to bring my lightsaber?
I mean, for this week, I'm going to bring mine.
Or will you?
I think my battery doesn't work anymore. I got to get another battery.
I actually called the company.
It still exists?
The Saber Forge. Oh, they're thriving.
Yeah, they're doing great.
They're doing great. But they will refurb your old lightsabers with all the new tech that they have.
Oh, how much?
Well,
I mean, it's going to cost probably a couple $100.
Yeah, but I thought what do the lightsabers go for now?
I mean, it depends on. There's all different levels in terms of if you want.
What new tech? I mean, those sabers are pretty good as is.
They're good, but so the new tech is two things. They have just better soundboards with more options.
Yep.
And they have the LED system is different. So
way better.
It could do two things. Again, it depends on what level you get, right? But at the high end.
Yeah,
so one is you can have LEDs in the blade, which means that it could light up progressively as opposed to just lighting from the base.
Right. So like it's actually deploying.
Yes. Yeah. The other thing you can do is have a combination of LEDs so that you can make any color rather than just choosing one
which
color.
I like.
Nice.
Yeah. So those are the upgrades.
But also, like they added the thing in, Steve. I don't know when they did this, but when you're sword fighting, if your lightsaber hits something,
that's old.
It flashes.
It makes a noise and stuff. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's upgrade our sabers.
Well, I was thinking when we go to
you got to mail it in and then they send it back.
But
I got approval to do it. If you go to the website, it says like, well, did you buy it before this date, after this date? And I just missed the cutoff, so I had to email them, and they said you're fine, send it and we'll do it.
Oh, okay. So that'd be the same for us then too.
Yeah, we got them all at the same time.
Okay, so I'm going to do it. Let's send ours together.
Yeah.
And then do we bring them with us to
of course,
Disney
there's
World?
going to be.
And we wear them?
Yeah, sure.
I think I'm going to bring a Star Wars costume to that.
You are?
I think I am.
All right.
Yeah, but it's got to be minimalist. For adults, just can't throw on costumes. It's got to be
Why?
very minimalist at Disney.
Oh, they don't want you to be. They don't want the patrons to confuse you for a park.
Well, that's not fun.
But you could just have a lightsaber on your belt.
Yeah, or you could, for adults, you
could have a T-shirt.
You could wear a T-shirt, but you can't be full on.
It's not a LARP.
I finally saw a video on how the Disney made their extended their lightsaber that actually comes out.
Yeah.
Did you ever see how they do it? All right.
Well, it's a collapsible tube. I
It's
assume.
not a collapsible tube. It's a lot more interesting than that.
It's an actual lightsaber.
No. So what happens is in the hilt. Imagine there are two pieces of plastic, right?
Yeah.
That is like half of the blade, and it's not firm. It's like a tape, right? And what happens is it comes out on both sides, and when they hit, they kind of shape with each other, and they make the lightsaber shape. Now you can't hit that on anything. It is not nothing battle. Like you can't.
They're not battle ready.
No, it would collapse immediately. You have to be careful, but it lights up really nice. So
and it deploys itself.
It deploys. So it comes out, makes the noise. It looks great. It's all for show, though. That's it, and it looks fantastic. So whenever you see somebody do that, they have that like retractable, that retractable plastic sheath thing. Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow.
Now the blades that we have, you could fight with. They're
They're combat. Yeah, they have combat and non-combat blades, but we definitely got the combat blades.
Of course.
The ones that have the kyber crystals are the non-combat blades.
Yeah.
Those are just pretty to look at. All right, so Steve's going to go on to the TikToks. We're going to take this loaf upstairs, Bob, and we're going to eat the rest of it.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, chat.
Hey, it sucks out there, right? It's hard. There's so much news every day that's smacking us in the face. The only thing we have control over is what we do, what we say, the people we interact with and how we interact with them. And my advice to you to get some happiness into your life is to mindfully do some nice things for the people that you care about. Just trust me, you will really enjoy it.
I think it's interesting to note, like imagine if we did not watch the news at all.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't know anything's going on.
Not yet.
It's not touching our private lives,
day
our
to
day. Not
For
yet.
us,
It
at
could.
least.
I mean, the only thing really is prices. Like that would be the first thing, maybe
Right.
the only thing we really notice. But that's because we're very privileged,
Mm-hmm.
But there are literally like children dying in Africa because of the cutting funding from USAID. People are dying, and people are getting arrested or deported, and universities are having their research shut down. I mean, there's lots of this is affecting a lot of people.
The seams
very
are coming
seriously.
undone now. We don't know how much more time until it is going to have a daily effect on everyone. But even then, even when we're literally in the middle of the worst parts of this, what are we going to do? You can't be reading the news all day. You can't be on social media all day. We need to help the people around us, love the people around us. Someone mentioned community. Do stuff for your community. I met my kids, the magical ice cream place that's a mile away from where I live. One of the best ice creams I've ever had in my life. It's called Rich's Farm. I get out there. It's the first day that they're opened. It was last night. It was a warm night.
You didn't tell me.
And we brought the kids to get the first ice cream of the year. And I'm talking to the people in the line with me, and the people have their dogs there. And I'm like standing there, and I'm like, this is really nice. It was really cool. Everyone's like, how frustrated are you waiting for ice cream? It's all good. And I was just thinking to myself,
if that's your biggest problem in the world, you're doing good.
But they do have some long lines. Got to say that.
It was a lot. They weren't prepared for the amount of people that they got.
Hello,
but
ice cream.
What's the best airport to fly into from abroad for the con? We're accessible to Bradley International Airport and accessible to all the New York airports. So Kennedy.
All right, the New York airports are going to be just as far as Bradley.
Yeah.
Relatively.
Westchester Airport is the closest.
But
Westchester's the closest, but I'm not sure how international.
I don't know
it
how
is.
international.
Oh, did they say international?
Yes.
Sorry.
It'll probably cost more money to fly into that airport as well. Bradley too.
But if you're getting a connection, you can fly into Westchester.
But here's what we're doing. Right now, I'm putting together an email. Ian and I this is one of the meetings Ian and I had yesterday. We are putting together an email that's going to ask you a bunch of questions for the conference. And then we're also going to ask if you're looking to carpool with people and that type of thing. And then on our Discord, open to the public, we're going to have a place to find people to do carpooling from airports and things like that, or whatever. Like if you live somewhere local that you need to drive. I'm coming from Philly. We could hopefully connect people to drive together. All right, so the best international airport, I think, JFK probably is a good option because it is the most international airport.
LaGuardia too.
LaGuardia is, but it's not. It doesn't have as many options.
Yeah, JFK is more
Newark is farther, but Newark is very international.
Yeah.
So I would go by price and distance. Either way, you're not that far. It's not that far of a drive. You've got an hour and a half tops from
So
the
Westchester
airport.
County Airport is technically international in that they go to the U.S. and Bermuda, and that's it.
But you
that'll give you an indication to the clientele that use that airport.
It's not worth the connector. It's not worth it.
But there's mass transit. Like you could take the
train station.
Yeah,
the train
that's
up,
one of the reasons why we picked it. Yeah.
which is great.
Yep.
So do that.
Yeah, so look out for that email. It's going to probably come today or tomorrow.
Any difficulty, Ian will come pick you up personally.
Okay.
Because he's
I'll
not
bring
busy.
bread. I got
Yeah.
bread on the way.
I'll make bread one of these weeks coming up, Ian.
Do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Not next week, but the following week because I have something planned for next week.
Okay.
But anyway, what else was I going to say? Also, there's an email coming out with the newsletter that's this week's newsletter. On top, there's the SG Feud, which is a game that we will be playing at Nauticon.
Oh, yeah.
Hosted by George. But we need you guys to put in, even if you're not going, need you to fill out the form to give us like that Family
content.
Feud style,
Yeah.
like
Survey says you're the survey.
It's a very brief thing, too. It's not that many questions,
Right.
but it
It's
will
like
help
15
us if you
questions.
don't
So
mind.
Please look for that.
Ian, this is them doing something nice for us.
True.
Right?
I just kicked the computer and now it's buzzing. That's not great.
Oh, boy, before it explodes.
It's
All right, guys, we're out. Bob, good job. Proud of you.
All right, get out of here,
Steve,
knuckleheads.
have fun.
Talk to you tonight.
All right, we'll just take this stuff.
No, you leave that right here.
Well, actually, move it out of the frame.
I
so
will.
we can-
I will
okay,
repack
okay.
it. It's just
He's like keeping it from them.
Wait, I want to take a slice for Liz.
You can take a slice if you want.
Steve, I'll walk it up to
If
your
Steve
kitchen for
gives
you.
it up,
Yeah,
if
we'll
Steve
just take a couple
allows,
slices and I'll walk it up to you.
only if Steve
all right,
allows.
take what you want. Put this in the kitchen.
All right, I'm gonna do some little hold music
You're
while
talking
we
about
wait.
that brain one with quantum fields?
Can't do that.
All right, stand by while I'm sending.
No,
the
I will not be
TikTok
talking
chat.
about that one.
Where's the form? It's gonna be on the email. It's gonna be in the email.
Why?
Because it's too stupid. Make sure it's wrapped up good, Jenny. Yeah, but I want to make sure it's covered completely. I need to move or I could. Chair, mic.
Stand by, chat, while we get this. Au revoir. Au revoir. Doop, doop, doop. TikTok Chrome. All right. Oh, you know what? That chair is
I know, I
just
just noticed.
Yeah. There you go. We got
Get
it.
the fuck outta here.
Okay. Let me pull up these things. Chat, how you been? Give us give us ones in chat if you're staying sane. Twos if you're not, I guess. I don't know. I shouldn't even ask that. Let's see. We got this. I'm gonna close this one. Close this, close that. All right, 1.1. Okay, perfect. Garage.
What are we doing first?
We could do the. What is it? The what was the Alex Jones one? That was
The flat Earth, the trajectory.
Thing, the trajectory, right?
That'll be quick.
Okay, so I'll jump. I'm gonna do the halfway point, right, where that other guy starts talking.
Yeah,
'Cause he's crazy.
Yeah. Do it at the ballistic one.
All right, let me try to
The rest
find.
of it is just nonsense.
Yeah, of course. I mean, all of it's nonsense, but you
Isn't
know
it
what
weird
I'm
how
saying?
dumb I am?
Isn't it weird? Okay, so we got this going. Oh, I forgot what to record that. Oh, that's right. All right, stand by.
Austin in the sphere? Damn. How about the endless documents from NASA and the military when they're not even talking about flat Earth or round Earth, they're talking about calculating the motion of missiles and high altitude aircraft when calculating, because it's got the trajectory and the speed, it's got to be perfect. The number one rule, document after document after document. The number one rule, if you want the precise calculations of the motions of missiles and high altitude aircraft, you have to assume we're on a flat, non-rotating Earth. You have to assume that the crazy conspiracy theory that we're on some flat Earth is real to get the right numbers.
I'm good? Yep. Alex Jones looked there like he didn't really even believe what that guy was saying. I don't know. I mean, where's this guy getting this information? Because it's completely wrong. And it's easy to show that it's completely wrong. If you, and this has been true for a long time, right? So if you need to calculate precisely the trajectory of anything like a missile or anything ballistic, an intercontinental ballistic missile, putting something into orbit, anything like that, you absolutely need to account for the curvature of the Earth and the rotation of the Earth. In fact, today, when you try to make those calculations, you're just going to put it into a computer, and the computer is going to do all those calculations for you. And you better believe absolutely that is accounting for the curvature of the Earth, the fact that we're on a sphere, and the rotation of the Earth. Absolutely. So the only sort of kernel of truth to what the guy's saying, and as the guy said, it's completely wrong. But on a very tiny scale, right, if something is not going to be going that far, like, you're shooting a gun that's going to go a mile, let's say, the smaller the scale, the less it matters, right? So a flat Earth calculation will be very similar to a spherical Earth calculation on a very small scale. Or sometimes, the engineers or whatever, they're just doing a back of the envelope calculation where they need to get an idea of about, how far something is or how, the trajectory, et cetera. If it doesn't have to be specifically accurate, they might just do like a simple flat Earth kind of Cartesian calculation and not account for all of the greater complexity of the sphere and the motion, because they're just, for whatever their current purposes, they just need a kind of a rough estimate. But when you need to get precise, when you need to be very, very specifically accurate, and especially if you're doing long distance or anything into orbit, 100% you need to consider the fact, you need to include in those calculations the fact that the Earth is a sphere and it's rotating. This is, you can easily confirm this. This information is available on the internet widely. This guy, I don't know where he's getting that information. He clearly didn't vet it. He has no idea what he's talking about, or he knows that what he's saying is BS. I don't know, but it's complete nonsense.
All righty, there we go. Trajectory, I'll call it. Trajectory.
Spherical cows. Absolutely. It's a lot easier to calculate if you assume an Earth. I think he's confusing easier for accurate. Right. Kind of torpedoes his whole point.
Where did it go? Okay, well, whatever. All right, next one we do is...
Nicotine?
Yeah, nicotine.
This guy, this fucking guy.
It's
what was his name again? It was Dr. Arbus or something?
Yeah, because we looked at him last time. Let me see if he has any information in here.
I know somebody mentioned it in the chat too. Go down a few chats, a few comments.
Dr. Ardis?
Ardis? A-R-D-I-S?
T-I-S.
A-R-T-I-S, Ardis?
Dr. A-R-T-I-S.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, David.
David Ardis, yeah.
We've done a video on him before, but let's close this. Let me full screen it. Okay, stand by. So let me make sure it's loud enough.
Is a published cure for Parkinson's disease. Nicotine is a published cure for Parkinson's disease, MS, Alzheimer's, ulcerative colitis, all arthritises, all of them. Psoriatic, gout, osteo, rheumatoid. Did you know it's also a published cure? I already mentioned it, myocarditis. Did you know that during 2021, while we were all locked down at home during COVID-19, that our government in the United States was paying researchers to investigate 2 of the 36 poisons that were found in all COVID patients, and they injected them into mammals and created within 72 hours glioblastoma tumors. Right. And then they were paid by our government to see if they could reverse glioblastoma tumor formation that they created in 3 days or less. And do you know what they dissolved within 72 hours glioblastoma tumors with? Nicotine.
And what?
So I'm about to teach you something else. You may.
Yeah, that's it. I was just recycling, I think.
All right.
So this guy, David Artis, is a chiropractor, not a scientist, not a doctor, not a real doctor, not a medical expert. He has no idea what he's talking about, actually, in my opinion. And he's also a huge-time conspiracy theorist. He thinks that Big Pharma engineered COVID in order to sell us drugs that we then refuse to pay for because of insurance. I mean, this guy's really off of his rocker. So everything he just said there is wrong. It's dumb. And he speaks in a way like, as a physician, as a scientist, you hear things like there's a published cure for Parkinson's disease. Nobody talks that way. And we don't throw the cure word around lightly. You know, a cure, you're saying that you're curing Parkinson's disease. So it's not, you didn't couch it in the terminology that somebody who has any idea what they're talking about would use, such as like this is an effective treatment, right? Or even a disease modifying treatment versus a symptomatic treatment. It's like we distinguish these things. And cure, forget about it. We don't say that unless it's really demonstrably true. So nicotine is not a cure for any of the things that he listed there. It's just not. There's no evidence in the literature that this is true. But nicotine is a drug. It's a very interesting drug. You shouldn't just think of it. I mean, certainly scientists don't just think of it as an addictive substance in cigarette smoke. It is a drug. It binds to the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter. It's the neurotransmitter, for example, that is involved with muscle contraction, but also sweating. And the nicotinic receptor is one of the acetylcholine receptors, muscarinic being the other major type of receptor. And so nicotine, binds to that, but it has lots of effects. It's, it is a bit of a complicated drug. And yes, it's possible that as a drug, there might be some therapeutic potential in there. Again, not a cure for anything, but some therapeutic potential. And it's, it's been researched for decades. The research is ongoing. So I'm sure he's reading some study somewhere, completely misinterpreting it. And I can't dive into everything he listed in one TikTok video, but let's just, he starts with Parkinson's disease. So first of all, there's some interesting effects of, activating the nicotinic receptor in Parkinson's. It may help release dopamine, which can provide some symptomatic treatment of some of the Parkinson's symptoms. And there's been research for a while about does it help stabilize the dopamine neurons in the brain. The bottom line is when you get to the point of doing clinical trials, right, where you actually look at giving people nicotine patches at different doses and seeing and following them for years to see if they have any difference in the progression of their Parkinson's or the development of Parkinson's, it turns out there's basically no clinical effect, right? So whatever preclinical, clinical science stuff we're looking at in animals or other models, or sometimes there's epidemiological evidence like, people who smoke or what are used. Actually, it's not more using smokeless products, versus smoking may have reduced incidence of it, but we don't really, there's too many moving parts to really know what's going on. But when you actually test it as a therapeutic, nothing. It doesn't do any, there was no effect. There may be a tiny effect that wasn't picked up by that study, but there's certainly no home run here. There's no massive effect from it. And it certainly isn't a cure. And the same is true of all the other things he mentioned. Also, it's worth noting that just throwing that out there, like nicotine cures MS, for example, multiple sclerosis. Actually, there's a lot of literature showing that smoking worsens multiple sclerosis. It actually can worsen the outcome. It makes it progress more quickly. And so, not throwing that caveat in there is pretty significant. And then in terms of glioblastoma, dissolving glioblastoma in 72 hours, that's fantasy land. I have no idea what he's talking about there. But there's a lot of literature. If you look up, nicotine and GBM, what comes up is, again, smoking makes the tumor progress more quickly. Nicotine makes the tumor progress more quickly, interferes with the effects of chemotherapy, may make the tumor more resistant to chemotherapy. So listen, drugs are complicated. They have potentially positive effects, potentially negative effects. The negative effects we may call side effects or toxicity. Positive effects need to be leveraged by making specific versions of the drugs to minimize toxicity, to make sure that they function as a drug. They have good bioavailability and pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. It's complicated. It takes years, sometimes decades, to get to a therapeutic product. And then we have to find a dose where the benefits outweigh the risks. But just saying stupid things like nicotine cures Parkinson's disease, that's not the kind of thing a real scientist says. That's just the kind of thing a crank chiropractor says.
Excellent.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. Should have kept that in. We'll have a super cut of that. Of just Steve swearing at people. All right. We got that. And
Seriously, he is a major league conspiracy theorist. Like, he is bonkers crazy. That guy.
He's on the next level.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. What was the one that we did about him before? I don't remember off the top of my head. It was like,
I don't remember.
It's painful. It's just painful. All right, let me just set active scene on this one real quick while I'm thinking about it. Boom. Main shot 1. Okay. Boom.
Crank chiropractors almost redundant. There are evidence-based chiropractors who are trying to reform their profession, who stick with the very, very limited, reasonable things that you could do, like basically, physical therapy and sports medicine kind of stuff. Like Sam Homolo, who's written for us at Science-Based Medicine, but they're in the vast minority, but they do exist.
Yeah, at that point, just become a physical therapist.
At that point, just become a physical therapist.
Just
become a physiatrist. Whatever. Get a real education.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Okay, so explain this then. If the sun is 93 millions of miles away, why is that spot only hyper-focused right here, but not all this? See, that's the glare from the sun. The sun is right there. If it's 93 million miles away, this would all be lit up, all glared up, all the way across, because it's so far away to have a hyper-focused area. Explain that, please.
I'll be happy to explain that to you. It's actually quite simple. Think of the surface of the ocean there as a mirror, right? And that mirror is reflecting the sky. And what is up in the sky, right, is actually being perfectly represented on the surface of that water. You have the blue areas that are reflecting down, and then you have the sun, which is reflecting down. And it's pretty much a mirror image of what's going on in the sky. That's it. The optics there is pretty clear. But I wanted to talk about this one because, again, one of my principles on these TikTok videos is, people should have a little bit of a sense of humility. And if something does, I know they're just asking questions there, but people just ask questions for a purpose. And when something doesn't make sense to you, don't assume there's some ridiculous conspiracy out there or that there's something really bizarre is happening. It's probable that you just don't know what you're talking about, right? That you're missing something, that you're making a mistake, or that you just don't know something. That is overwhelmingly likely to be the case, rather than there's this massive worldwide multi-century conspiracy theory to confuse the public about where the sun is. The sun is on average about 93 million miles away. That's a pretty clearly established fact. And if you don't know how mirrors work, that's the problem, not our understanding of the distance of the sun.
All righty.
All right, we are done. We saved humanity again for another week, Ian.
Aren't you happy, chat? Stop yelling at us now. We fixed it.
We do get a lot of emails in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Along the theme of, why aren't you guys fixing America? It's like all this Trump stuff is happening and you guys are talking about, black holes. It's like, yeah, we're going to keep doing what we do. Like we are promoting scientific literacy and critical thinking and media savvy, scientific skepticism. We're going to do that. And that if that moves the needle, if that helps, then great. But if we just start, go like lean into like partisan politics, that's not going to have any effect. It's just going to compromise our ability to promote science and critical thinking.
There's plenty of people who already do partisan politics. You can find
It's not like it's not out there.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not, and it's not like we have a massive audience. I would maybe think differently if we had orders of magnitude larger audience where we were having a major effect on the culture and the zeitgeist. I think somebody like Joe Rogan does have to think
a different level,
carefully. Rather, we do what we do. We're scientific skeptics. That's what we do. We promote science and critical thinking. And again, I honestly do think it might not make a difference. I'm just saying I would think about it differently. I don't know what I would do, but I still think we're better positioned to promote critical thinking, and that will lead people to consume information more critically and et cetera. But just like taking the partisan politics on head on is just going to compromise our primary mission. I don't think it's going to really move the needle on anything else.
Yeah, not sure we can fix this with podcasts right now.
Unfortunately. It's beyond that. One guy went as far as to blame the skeptical movement for Trump's win in 2024.
That's a little weird.
Like characterize that as a failure of the skeptical movement. It's like, well, in order to do that, you're assuming that implies that it was possible for us to keep it from happening in the first place. Otherwise, it's not a failure. It's just something that's beyond our control. I mean, there are worldwide political forces at work here, and there are massive national, countrywide, social forces here, and and I think like it's interesting to think about exactly what happened, but I don't think it was a lack of promotion of science and skepticism.
Yeah.
I think it was, a lot of other things. I do think a huge factor is social media.
Yeah.
I've read hundreds of articles, more than I should have, dissecting what happened in the 2024 election. And I walked away with a couple of things. One is nobody fucking knows. Really, nobody knows. Most of the theories are mutually incompatible. They're just looking at whatever slice confirms what they already believed or whatever. You know what I mean? Or maybe they're pointing at elements that are legitimate, but nobody really knows how, why things happen the way they happen. But one factor that I think does not come up enough, although some of them hint at it, like they're getting close to this, but I don't think they quite get it. It's like it's social media. Like this election, the mood of the country, the biggest shift that happened was in young men. That was the biggest demographic shift that happened. It was massive.
Yeah.
That was all social media. That was like the social media zeitgeist, is very anti-intellectual. It's very anti-institutional. It's anti-elitism, really, which translates into anti-expertism.
Yeah, not really elite.
Not elite in a good way, but sort of anti-expertise.
Yeah.
All of that. There's definitely a big sort of, phenomenon going on in terms of the manosphere. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think produced a certain shift again in the zeitgeist. And again, all you have to do is move the needle by a couple percentage points, and that produces, because of our electoral college, blah, 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 it produces these apparently, when you look at the numbers, there really wasn't a big difference. But this is one that I wrote about this in the past as well. Every time there's an election or there's a Super Bowl game or whatever, seriously, it's the same thing. You have this narrow victory, by all accounts, a narrow victory. Trump did not get a majority of voters. He got a plurality of voters. Yeah. He did not get a majority of voters. His victory was actually pretty narrow by historical standards, by numerical standards, whatever. But you get this narrow victory, or it could be like the one team wins the Super Bowl by last minute field goal by 2 points, whatever. And then all of the pundits like, oh, they were always going to win. They had these, huge advantages. There's this massive political shift happening, blah, blah, blah. Or they just fucking eked out a victory. And it could have gone a bunch of different ways if other things had been different. You know what I mean? It's just there's too many factors in there. It's the assumption that whatever happened was inevitable, and then it's all astrology. It's looking back and explaining why it happened, when what happened was in a lot of ways quirky.
Elon money and it's wide up. I mean, the Democrats had $1 billion, so I don't know if it was exactly a money. It's like
money doesn't explain it. I just think that the Democrats are losing the information war.
Yeah.
Why did so many people think the economy was horrible when it was actually doing pretty well? And they're trying to figure out, was it because of the price of eggs or because of this or because of that? No, it's because people are fucking stupid, and that's what they're being told to believe online.
Right, you got a message better than them.
And I don't want to reduce it to a message. I don't think it's a messaging
It's not
thing.
purely.
It's not purely just not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying there's no policy differences that are meaningful or whatever. Definitely. I'm just saying, and it is partly about the campaigning too, but it's also just, they were better at affecting basically the mood of the country through lying and telling their narrative. Like, they got their narrative out there, they got it into more locations, they got it to more venues, and they won the social media game. That's it.
Yeah.
That is as good an explanation as anything else I've read out there. It's definitely a factor. It doesn't get enough I think, attention. And, I think the Democrats have to figure out how to fight fire with fire on the internet, on social media. Otherwise they're going to continue to lose the narrative. They lost the narrative.
True.
The things that people are saying about why they voted one way or the other. The other thing, and here's the other thing, this, recent analysis that I came across that's interesting is that if only people who voted in 2020 voted in 2024, Harris would have easily won, right? And the big shift in terms of voter turnout and also voter alignment was mainly in people that do not consume news.
Yeah.
It was the so-called low information voter, right? So how do you affect people who don't read the news?
Right. Well, where are they getting their information from? Clearly.
Where are they getting their information? Where do you think they're getting their? They're getting their fucking information from TikTok.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
other social media.
And
nonsense.
that's what that was. I mean, again, just by the numbers, if you just look at the numbers, that's what threw the election. It was those people who are not regular news consumers. They are not politically engaged. They're just sort of going with the zeitgeist, with the flow, which is basically being determined by the online community. And that is hard, so we have to figure out how to figure that out. Yeah. And because otherwise it doesn't, again, the feedback loop of democracy was short-circuited. The feedback loop is supposed to be, rewarding good behavior, rewarding success, rewarding ideological alignment, all those things with your vote, with your support. But if you can, be a lying, incompetent scumbag and still get people's votes because you're controlling the narrative and the flow of information, then our democracy is broken, right? Then you've short-circuited that feedback, that democracy feedback loop. And I think that's where we are. And I think that's a problem.
Yeah. Somebody asked, the TikTok comments aren't coming through for some reason, but said, Mr. Novella, can I ask? Or Dr. Novella, it should be. You already do so much. Can you describe how you have so much energy?
Things piss me off.
We need to hawk our SGU energy drink.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you the secret. The secret of energy. Now, partly it's because I care, which is a burden. It's a problem.
It's annoying to have to
care about like. Yeah, it's that someone's wrong on the internet kind of thing, partly. But I'm an educator, right? And once your mission is to help people think more critically and understand science and whatever, and then you have any clue what's going out there in the world, it's hard not to feel like you need to do something about it. Yeah.
All right, chat.
We do what we can.
He just ate Irish brown bread. That's true.
That's
it was the Guinness
fueled
in the Irish
by
brown
Irish
bread.
brown bread.
It was that. All right, chat. We will see you next week. Remember to join the Discord. If you aren't already a patron, become a patron so you can join the Discord.
We're getting close to our 5,500 goal.
That's true, which
means 24-hour SGU
go.
live 24-hour show, and I will hold the rest of the rogues to it. I don't care how much
I'm excited
they bitch
for
and complain. I will drag them kicking and screaming into this studio or somewhere.
They're
And
like,
we
can we do 1 hour for 24 days?
No, we will do 24 straight hours of
Straight.
skeptical content from the SGU if we get to our
That's right.
5,500 goal.
You can
We're getting
sleep
close.
when you're dead.
We're
Other
getting
skeptics.
close, people. If you want to
That's
make it
right.
happen, make it happen.
That's right. Make some dummy account. I mean, well, you can actually can with multiple credit cards. That's fine.
If you pay for it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Thanks. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being here, everybody. All right, we'll see you next week. I'm not sure what's happening Friday. We might be doing Friday.
I think so.
I think so.
Okay.
It should be copacetic. I gotta double check some stuff, but I think we'll be good. All right, see you, everybody. Bye bye.
Thanks, Ian.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.